All right, we are recording.
All righty. Hello. Welcome, everybody. We are Gen Friends. We're so excited to be talking to you tonight. I'm Cheri Hudson-Passy from Carolina Girl Genealogy. And with me tonight, I've got to go around the circle. We've got Catherine Lake Hogan from Looking for Ancestors with us tonight. Hi.
Hello,
How are
greetings.
you?
I'm good.
Good. Mary Kircher Roddy is with us from MKR Genealogy. Hi, Mary.
Hello there.
So good to have you. And we've got the family tree girl. Shelly Murphy's with us tonight. Hi, Shelly.
Hi, everyone.
Well, tonight, like that, just like that, day 10, relative race is done for another season. Season 5 wrapped up. It's in the books, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And it was a very interesting show. They started with kind of giving us a wrap up of who everybody had met, all the wonderful, the dads and the cousins and the moms and the and the people who were looking for their own ancestors, their own relatives. This season really was big on it not just being about the teams,
just family,
but family and other family who needed help. And so I'm hoping there's a sequel. Relative race producers. We want a sequel. What is happening with the rest of those families that are looking for family? Maybe they'll be on season 6, a continuation. Wouldn't that be great? They had this, so day 10 is all about the money. Day 1 through 9 is all about the family. But as Dan said, this is called relative race. And there's a prize at the end, that $50,000. So day 10 is all about the $50,000 and who's going to win it. Anybody want to kick off with how they got started with that?
Well, they were at a dude ranch in Arizona. So, and they had challenges that they had to do. Very little connection, if any at all, to genealogy. They had a little bit of history, maybe, nothing genealogy.
No.
The challenges were just dude ranchy kind of challenges.
Yeah, and that's where I think the interesting, when you made the comment that it was a little interesting, it was a big different. It was a different twist. It wasn't even history related.
No.
Or when you think about the previous, seasons, typically day 10 had something connected to family and history, and so. Like Bear said, dude ranch, rock climbing, the rock climbing, I was nervous about that.
Oh gosh, me
I
too.
enjoyed it, but I was nervous.
I wouldn't have been able to do it. Well, they started out with the paintballs.
Yeah, I love the shootout.
Yeah, they started out with the shootout, and what they had told them is, they had those day 10 benefits. So as they had their little boxes of day 10 benefits, they told them they wouldn't know what they were going to do with that at the end. So still they left us hanging with the day 10 benefits, but they'd given them each team a bag of silver coins. And before each challenge, they had to kind of think to themselves, how well am I going to do in this challenge? It was almost like a bet, speculating. They were speculating on this dude ranch. How am I going to do on this challenge? And they were to put a certain amount of coins in their little box beforehand. And I thought it was really funny because red team, they were like trying to be really secretive, and they were like whispering, or she was coughing. So
and they both did that.
Maybe blue team wouldn't know how many, wouldn't hear the clink going in, or shaking the bag or making lots of noise. They were trying really hard for the other team not to guess how many coins that they were putting in. Blue team just said, we're just going to go down the middle of the road. We'll just not put a lot. We'll just do and just spread them out. And so we were told that was going to influence the end as well.
Well, the interesting part is they knew before each challenge what they were doing at that thing and how they could, say, how am I going to be on this? But they had no idea what was coming up.
No.
I mean, so
yeah,
they, you don't know, well, I bet 20 on this one because I'm really good at rock climbing or whatever it
Yeah.
might be, and
But
not so much on
Yeah,
riding a
exactly, because
horse. Yeah.
they didn't know it was coming up. So they started with the paintballing, and they made the point to say it was the low power paint guns because those things can hurt. They can really hurt. And you would think that Demetrius, you think the blue team both have been in the military, that they would have
right.
the heads up.
Right.
You would
But
think.
No, the sisters got them. But let me ask you a question, jumping back to the coins. Did they know how many coins were in their bag? I
Yes.
know they counted out, but what was the total?
50.
50.
It was 50.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
they did know that. So they
Okay.
kind of
Yeah, I
checked.
think
They
I
had
missed
more.
that.
Yeah, so they had to kind of think in their heads, what they were
Yeah.
going to do. So yeah, I
And
thought it
then
was
at
really
the end, they had to, whatever they had left over in the bag,
Right.
the fourth challenge, all of it got dumped in.
yeah.
So you
Yeah.
kind of had to gauge that too. And like
Yeah.
Mary said, they
Yeah.
didn't know what was coming ahead. So you're like,
Exactly.
okay, well, we can hedge this amount for this activity, but we don't know necessarily how many we want to save.
Right.
So
Right.
Or what do
Exactly.
we need?
Yeah,
Do
what
we need to save some?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was different. This
So
definitely was a different finale.
it was a different finale.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so interesting that they end up in sudden death. You would think that the
Yeah.
blue team would have gotten them out all 3 rounds, and they ended up in sudden death.
Yes.
So yeah. So anyway, so red team took that.
Yeah.
Red team took that, and then they went
Yes.
on to the next challenge, which was the rock climbing. Wasn't that the
That's
second
right.
one? The rock climbing,
Yes.
the wall, they called it. The wall.
And the first 35 and
20 and then 35.
20 and 35. And
I don't know
so
if I could have done it. They did have a professional, there helping
yeah.
them to, pull them back down and make
Yeah.
sure they weren't going to fall. But I just
I
don't-
could not have done it.
I would have had
Did
to
you
time out.
see what happened when, and I'm going blank on her name, I'm so sorry, Maria, when she first went, after she rang the bell, she said, get me down, get me down.
Down.
You
Yeah,
know,
they had
I was cringing
no, they
for
had to
her.
climb up. They had to climb up and ring the bell.
Yes.
And everything was timed. It was all timed. But
Yes.
if they couldn't do it, they could time out. They could say, can't do it.
Yeah.
Maximum time 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And
Yeah.
then,
Rhonda didn't, she just was not going to give up. Bless her heart. She
Yeah.
was fighting to stay up there.
That's hard.
That was extremely hard. And
So,
again, a
yeah.
different type challenge.
different. Yeah, exactly.
Different
So,
type.
and again, you think, well, here you got these 2 Marines. They should be able to just climb up that wall. But I mean,
Ex-Marine.
Demetrius did. He was like up and down.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think for rock climbing, just what I know about physiology of men and women is for rock climbing, you're using a lot of upper body strength.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
harder
So
for
if you're
women.
not used to it, yeah.
Generally, and if you're not used to it,
Right.
that can tire you out very, very
Exactly.
quickly.
And if
very
you've got
quickly.
any fear of heights, see, that would be my problem.
That's mine.
I
I
might
would have
be
just
able to
fainted.
hold my, close my eyes and get up, but getting down, I would have been
No.
frozen. I don't care who was going to help me down. I'd probably be still on that rock going, I can't.
That was the cringing. The cringing was because I was in fear and I wasn't even on the rock.
On the rock. So they get done with that challenge, and then what do they say? We're not going to tell you who won now.
That's
No.
right.
No.
Because they didn't
And
want
look how fast Demetrius went up that wall.
I know.
He was like
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Well,
He
you
made up the time.
Yeah.
And just like he had said, he hadn't done that for years.
Yeah.
The last time he had rock climbed, he couldn't
Yeah.
even remember.
Yeah.
And
So they
again,
walk, then they walk right away from that challenge to the next one, not knowing
not knowing.
who's ahead. All they know is challenge 1, red team.
Yes,
They have
that's all
no
they know. Right.
They have no idea what's up next. Up next was the shuck it and
Shuck
chuck
and chuck.
it.
Shuck and
Where did they
corn.
come up with these games?
I don't know. And I'm thinking, I hope that's like, corn you feed animals or something so they can give it to them and not waste all that food. But,
Right.
then they can go get the animals and feed them later. But
Yeah.
they had to shuck that corn and then throw it into the little boxes that it was like 3 circles.
Right.
The circles got bigger and bigger and they got different points, but they had to make sure they got
Like
all
that.
husks
Yeah,
called
fully
corn
shucked
pole?
and take the stem off and
Yeah.
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 And
And
it
then they
didn't
had to make
count
sure when they
for-
threw it that the corn didn't break.
That's right.
Yes.
So it had to be shucked. The stem had to be off, and
Yeah.
you had to have it whole
Yeah.
into the hole.
That makes me wonder if that game came from some old pioneer Western town county fair, and that's what they used to do there.
That's
You know,
what it sounds like. It reminds me of that. Is it corn pole?
Cornhole.
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 Yeah.
H-O-L-E. Okay. And you
yeah.
throw the bag in.
It's like
Yeah.
a bean bag or a bag of corn.
Yes.
Right. So they
That's
just
what I was thinking
they
they
took
were
it a
doing.
step backwards instead of putting it in a bag. They had to use the actual corn.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so again,
They didn't know who won.
they didn't know who won. So we're 1, 2, 3. Who's winning? I guess
Yeah.
I like that idea because they didn't know, we didn't know. There was just
But that one
Kept
was
us
hard
all
to
on
do.
edge.
both of them knew that they had to work hard because they
Yeah.
had no idea except for
Yes.
that first one. They had to work hard. So then they get to the roundup. Even Dan's on a horse.
Yeah. He rides.
Even Dan's on a horse. Oh, it was too funny.
I said, "Go, Dan!"
well,
When I saw
you know,
him riding in.
It just reminded. Speaking of Dan,
Yeah.
back to the shuck it and chuck it. It was he either told Maria either Maria or Liz, one of the two, and he said no, that doesn't count because like
The stem wasn't broken
stem
off,
was
and,
still
and,
on,
and
and she was like,
Elizabeth. It was Elizabeth, and she, whatever, Dan.
Yeah, she was whatever, Dan.
I was laughing right along with her because it took me back to my childhood when I had to shuck corn, and my dad be like, "That's not good enough. You have to take the stem off, right?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever, Dad."
Whatever, Dad. I thought that was really, really funny. So I'm so glad they kept that. That made the
edit, yeah.
that wasn't edited out. Whatever, Dan. So anyway, here comes Dan on the horse, and they've got to round up these cows and get them in the pen. And
City
if you've
kids.
never,
Poor city people not
City
ever been on
kids.
horses.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's one thing to get on a horse, even if you've done, one of those little trail rides where they all meet each other and nothing's ever going to happen because they're bored and they're leading. But you're getting on a horse. You've never been on a horse before. And then you've got to run and turn this horse to get these cows into a pen.
Yeah.
I think I'd have been a little scared.
I think so, because you don't know what the temperament of the horse is and how that horse is going to react to you.
Exactly.
And if you don't know what the commands are for the horse, I mean, you would think, okay, there might be some standardized ones, like whoa and giddy up and things like that. But
Stop!
you don't know what the command is to the horse, so you might say stop, and the horse is not stopping. That's a problem.
Yeah, because
I'm
no might stop the horse and not the word stop.
Oh, I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
If you, I've ridden. I used to have a horse before we moved, but I can't even imagine. So I'm hoping that they at least gave them a few minutes, to work on. Okay, this.
I'm sure they did.
This is how you hold the reins. This is the command.
I would hope
sure
so.
they did.
I would hope
I'm
so.
sure, legally they had to get the most gentle horses they could get.
Yeah, but $50,000, they signed waivers, too.
Ahead,
but
Mary.
I'm sure they gave them a briefing on, writing and everything.
Yes.
So, plus you had the professionals there,
Go ahead, Mary.
I'm not sure how much of a briefing they got because Demetrius's hands were all chewed up.
Oh, right.
From the reins because he didn't really know what he was doing. So I don't think they probably got a lot of training.
Maybe
but
not.
Did some of that come from the rock climbing too?
No, he said it was from the horse.
The rope?
From the horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did have 2 professional wranglers there, and their job, they had a certain amount of time. They only had so much time to get those calves into the cows into the pen, and then if they got to a certain point, then the wranglers would come out and do it for them. So
and they were awesome.
Well, and they tossed a coin to see who was going to go first. Of course, blue team says red team goes first, which was a good strategy because then they could watch.
Yes.
And see what it was they were supposed to do.
And I thought that was an unfair advantage I really
Was
did. I
Really?
thought it was an unfair advantage
they
that
got
red
to
team
watch.
got to watch blue team go first, because
Yeah.
you're going to see that you get 3 minutes, 5 minutes to watch what's going to happen. If you're the first team up, you don't know what's going to happen.
But they
And
did the
so
same thing
I
on
just
the
thought they
rock
had a little
climbing.
bit of an
Yeah.
advantage in that they were able to watch the other team go
Right.
first.
And Mary was saying,
They did the same thing on the
Same
rock
thing.
climbing though.
Yes, they
because-
did.
Because red team had to go up and blue team
Right.
could watch where they were
That's true.
putting
Yeah.
their hands. So that's why they split it. They flipped
Yes.
the coin
Right.
for that one, and then okay, you won last time.
so
Yeah.
I think it would have been fairer, really, to flip it again and take the odds. But
take the odds. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think all in all, they did pretty well, and they kept, they changed it up each time. They had to do it 3 times, and they would change up, versus 1, then you got to get 2, and then so I just
Put it this way.
Uh-huh.
Every one of the challenges, which I probably would not do, I know for sure, but it kept us engaged.
it
Yeah.
did.
It was an anticipation.
Mhm.
Who's gonna do it? Oh my gosh, they're scared
Yeah.
for them. Oh, relate it to how you felt. So
Exactly.
even though it didn't relate to history or anything, genealogy or even family,
Mhm.
it
It was
kept
still
us
fun.
engaged.
It was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun to
really it
watch
was
them.
fun.
And
Yeah.
very
And we-
competitive.
And very competitive. And we've gotten to know these 2 teams,
Yes.
so it was fun to watch them, and they were good to each other as well. I think they weren't being horrible, and
Wow.
they were supportive of the other person being scared
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
something, and so I appreciated that, and I appreciated watching them just have a really good time,
Yeah.
And I had a prediction, and only my mama knew.
And your mama knew. Well, don't say if it came true yet, because we got to get
I'm not.
to the end. Okay, we got
I'm
to get
not.
to the end. So we've gone through these challenges. We only know that Team Red had the first win.
Right.
Right.
We don't know who else. So does anybody want to explain how they went through with their coins and then those day 10 benefits and how they,
Sure.
anybody?
So each of
Or
the
all of us together?
Go
well,
for
each
it,
of the
Kathy.
teams had received day 10 benefits throughout the course of the previous 9 days. And so at the conclusion of day 10, they had each received 3 boxes, 3 of the day 10 benefit boxes. And so what happened was each of those boxes contained 5 coins. So they kind of canceled themselves out because they both had 15 extra coins. So that did not give anybody an advantage over the other team. So they canceled each other out.
Which is kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
we should have won one more time. We would have had some more coins.
Right.
So then they take, go ahead. So then they take them up to, I mean, they were Dan and.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Dan was there and he had 4 boxes that each of the teams had deposited coins for each of the activities. And then he went through and counted them out. So, he asked the teams how many coins they had each deposited, depending on how well they thought they were going to do. And you could hear them thinking, "Ooh, don't know if we should put that many coins in. Ooh, how many did we put in?" And that type of thing. So we knew who won the first activity, the first event, which was the quick draw, and of course that was red team. And then what happened was, so it kind of going back to almost like the gold mining and silver mining type of thing. So we had the big pan there, and if you won that event, your silver coins went into the pan.
Right.
If you were the team that did not win, yours went down the sluice.
Down the sluice.
Gone forever. Gone forever.
They're gone
Right.
forever.
Right. Yeah. So then, so we knew red team won the quick draw. Then we went to the rock climbing, and I don't know if anybody else noticed how much time difference there was between the 2 teams. It was 16 seconds.
16.
Yes.
16 seconds between the times of 2 teams.
With all that,
It was that close.
It was that close. It really was.
I would have watching it. I would have never thought that, but
No,
some good editing too.
Because it was so hard to gauge, because Chanta had to take the full maximum of the 10 minutes because she wasn't able to scale the wall. And we didn't know how. It was so hard to say how well Elizabeth and Maria did. And then, of course, you get Demetrius, and he's like boom.
Spider-Man.
Right? Yeah. Spider-Man. And what did I think Red Team called him, like RoboCop, you know?
RoboCop.
That's right.
So surprise. I really thought Blue Team had that one.
I did
just
too.
Because of how quickly Demetrius had scaled that 35-foot wall. I thought
but she took the whole 10 minutes. That's why I thought Red had it.
But
I stayed with Red on that one.
I thought they might have edged them out, but they didn't. So unfortunately, Blue Team did not win with the rock climb, Red Team. And so now we know.
And all the coins was down
so there's 2 more events after that. And then we had the Shuck and Chuck. And what I thought was pretty entertaining. I would have done the Shuck and Chuck.
I think I would have,
I would have did that one. But what was interesting about that one is how quickly Red Team went through their corn.
Yeah,
right? They were just really fast.
Blue Team had 15 still in their basket.
And Blue Team had 15 still left over. But guess what? It wasn't Red Team who won because they didn't break the stems off. And I was kind of watching them, and some of their throws were not accurate. They were not accurate. Whereas Demetrius and both Chanta and Demetrius seemed to nail a couple of the 2-pointers.
Yes.
So what was it? I think it was 7-12. I think it was the score. So Blue Team won.
Finally
for that one. All right, who wants to do someone else can wrap up with the last one.
Mary, you want to do the last one?
So they I don't remember what the time differential was, but on the Blue Team they needed help twice in it for the 1 cow and for 3 cows.
Right.
And I think Red Team only needed help once. Or was it twice that they needed it? But they ended up winning that one as well. So it didn't, it's interesting because I've been sitting here thinking about the math on it. I mean, it was a winner take all, it wasn't winner take all. It was, if you win, you get your money. If you lose, then you throw your money away. You don't get it. But if they had somehow done a winner take all, that I get your money and my money if I win, that really might have made a difference. Because really, I mean, when you're betting on 4 things, you're gonna average it out, and nobody's gonna go too far off the mark. And so whoever won 3 would win.
Right.
But
really automatically.
Right.
Yeah.
But if there might have been more strategy in the betting if you could have got the other people's ones that they bet and didn't win. I'd like to
be a good twist too.
To run the math on that. I might have to watch the show again.
Yeah, because I got lost in some of the coin stuff. You know what I mean? When they were dumping them, losing them type thing. Because I was concentrating on trying to hear about the time, because Dan had mentioned, you're basically being scored by the time. And so I thought that was going to weigh out more, than the stuff with the coins. Because I lost at the 50 thinking, how many coins did they have in that bag? And again, it's worth looking back over, but then how many were in each of the boxes? But my question was also, did they each have the same amount of day 10 benefit boxes? 3 and 3?
Yes.
They each, and I just,
so
I think
it was no benefit for the day 10 benefit.
Exactly.
They cancel each other out.
They cancel each other out, and so then you think, had they known that, and you go back to the other days.
And they commented on that, one of them.
Would they have chosen something else? But you don't know that.
And if there'd been 3 teams in it, it really could have had an entirely different result.
Totally different.
Because
totally different.
Yeah, because then two teams are throwing away their money
Correct.
if they lose.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been a whole different scenario.
Right.
So, we do end up with Team Red
Team Red.
taking it
Yeah.
all, and they were just
That was my
shocked.
prediction. I carried it all the way through.
Their faces, I think it took them a few minutes. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, well, what a grand finale for your gratitude tour. Because really, that's what they said from the beginning.
Yeah.
For them, this was their gratitude tour.
No matter what.
Yeah, they weren't in it to necessarily, I mean, they wanted to meet people, but they wanted to meet people to thank people for giving them their lives.
That was their goal.
Yeah, and so this was their gratitude tour. And so how cool that they won the money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah.
Mom wanted blue team, and I was rooting for red team. I stayed. And you want to know, right from the beginning, they talked about the competitiveness that they had, the two sisters.
That's true.
Growing up together. And I said, I'm laying hands right here. Those girls are going to do, and they were fearless.
And they were fearless. And you know what? They were good to each other.
Yes.
On the whole, because a lot of
Supportive.
siblings, some of the siblings we've seen throughout the seasons, well, married couples, whatever they are, whatever the teams are, had their bickering moments, and we didn't really see any bickering.
They had each other's back.
Really, for any of the teams. I don't remember. I mean, I love the way Chandra can look at Demetrius. I mean, she can give
Oh my God. She can give that look to him.
She can throw a look at him, but there wasn't any of the real bickering that we've seen in some of the seasons.
Well, she had to calm down. Do you remember? She kind of got really upset on one part, and he had to calm her down. And again, it was almost like the Marine came out and stuff. So, but
we've seen a lot worse than that on some.
Oh
they've gotten really out of control, and so.
Well, one couple left one season.
Yeah, so I think that this the connections between the teams was so great this year in the season, and the connections, and I mean, for Green Team to spend that whole 9 days with Bishop was fabulous. For both Maria and Liz to find their biological parents, for Demetrius to get as close to finding his dad as they possibly could get him.
Oh, he's there.
And look, Chandra was able to meet that cousin that she was the first person in the family that she'd ever met. So each team member really had one of those connections that's just going to be there forever. It's just they're life changing. This was a life changing journey for all four teams this season. And so I'm really sad. What am I going to watch on Sunday night?
I don't know. We're going to watch Sunday night.
I know. It's going to be hard.
I have no idea. Maybe we need to do some relative race on here or something.
Let me tell you, I would love to have one of those phone calls that says to me, hey, I'm from this TV show called Relative Race, and we think we've got a connection. Would you be interested? And I'd be like, yes.
Cool.
So
I couldn't do the competitive stuff. I'd do it in a minute, but I just want to have them. I just want to have them come to me so I can say, I'm your relative. And yes. Definitely.
That's what I would love.
I'm waiting for that knock on the door.
Yeah, watch them run to your door. How are we related, and to be able to, tell them. Probably a cousin. I don't know that there's any surprise stories out there but you never know. You never know.
You never know.
Exactly. Well, ladies, thank you so much. I can't believe we're at day 10, and we've made it through.
I'm sad it's over.
I'm sad it's over.
It seems like it's really fast, and it's just like gone.
I know it's gone. It's gone by so fast, and it was a really good season. And I know that there will be. I know that there's going to be a season 6.
And they're casting for 7. I heard.
I saw
that release.
We've got more to come. So thank you.
I love it. And we've got finding your. I mean, who do you think you are coming back?
Yeah, we'll get right on him. We will be back. We will have, just because you know, Relative Race is over doesn't mean it's the end of Gen Friends. We will have some interviews that we'll be doing. We will, as the TV shows come back on, we'll be talking about those and anything else that's coming up in the genealogy world. We'll be talking about and wanting to know everybody else's opinion of what's going on as well. So with that, we're done with season 5 of Relative Race. Day 10 was fabulous. Congratulations to Team Red. And we'll see you next time on Gen Friends. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.